Hey there, Donovan Hylton wishing you a continued great rest of the day, as well as congratulating you in advance for your success. And we're going to talk about, for a few seconds, accepting your greatness. Accepting your greatness. What do you mean? If your parents or your guardians or those that took care of you, brought you up, did not tell you that you were great, that you are great, that you were born great, and the process of you becoming manifested is great, I'm telling you now, and I'm not going to say it again, put it in your heart, put it in your mind, as I put it in my heart and put it in my mind. Why is it so important? Because if you know, not think, not believe, not feel, if you know you are great, then you are going to walk, which is the most important and almost the only thing we can do, is walk through our life with greatness in our hearts, greatness in our minds, and every decision we make, and we pray every decision we make. We give thanks that every decision we make and every fruit that is produced is multiplying and scaling greatness. I say that because being in business, community, and government activities, helping to unify so many labels to move forward, so many perspectives to move forward, and I do that a lot of times, unification through my example. Why? Because in the society that I live in, which is the United States of America, an economic, capital, free market company, some may say corporation, that focuses on what they call legal citizens paying taxes. I'm not talking about any of the climate going on around us. I'm talking about, from my perspective, why you're great and how you thrive in an environment that's designed for you to be great. And what environment is that? It's whatever environment that I'm not going to say whatever environment, but the fact that you are aware and alive right now, we give thanks and we hope and we breathe, and to include myself, in our hearts, that we walk with prosperity, that we're graced with prosperity. And we may say, oh, well, what I've gone through in life has nothing to do with prosperity. And what I've gone through and what I've been through and what I've seen has nothing to do with prosperity. So I don't want to hear that. And I definitely overstand. And it's not my place to tell anyone what they're supposed to be doing or feeling. But just know, at the minimum, as I speak for myself and to myself, as well as the world and whoever's listening, that I do stand with you. And I do give thanks and pray and give thanks more so that, things move forward for you. Things move forward for your loved ones, however dire the situation is. And I to be honest with you, I pray for grace myself, so people are in some rougher spots than I can even imagine, have experienced rougher spots than I even imagine. So that's why, for someone that has been fortunate, if you will, in that regard, compared to others that have gone through some things in life, I make sure that I pray, at least, and you give thanks for me, to walk with the highest of standard. Because there's some that have been fortunate and born on this earth to have stability, to have consistency, to have predictability, to have sustainability in their life growing up, or at some point to where they were able to create a foundation to be emotionally intelligent, to be diplomatic, to be patient, and to have those tools in their hearts and minds to be able to maneuver however way necessary through life. Because life is a survival reality. That's just how it is. And more so, other than the support system that you were fortunate to have around you, nobody technically owes you anything, even though they do owe you everything. But what I'm saying is, a worst case scenario type of situation, living in a third dimensional survival physical realm, everyone's trying to survive on their own. Look at all of the animals, or all the biological plants or insects or whatever. And I'm speaking out of ignorance, and someone please leave some remarks as to some examples that may be different. But at the end of the day, there are some beings that travel individually, but also survive and thrive through a social group survival. They work together to move forward as a group. These beings, maybe insects, animals, mammals, whatever beings there are, plants, I don't know. But ultimately they move together for their survival and collectively. But in order for them to move together collectively, each individual, and they may have protection, others looking out for their back, but each individual, through integrity, has to do what they're supposed to do in order for there to be a group. So at the end of the day, in biology, you have survival, then you have reproduction. I believe those are the first two laws of biology. So you have survival and you have reproduction. I'm gonna use the word survival, maybe another word. But the bottom line is you have to be able to survive. You got to be able to eat. You got to be able to defend yourself. And you got to be able to, as best you can, remain healthy through the various external challenges that the climate brings. So you got to be, and keeping those things in mind for the life that I'm living, the life that you're living. There's going to be, you got to make sure you're eating. And so whatever society that you're living in, how do you for yourself produce? And with that mentality, you get around like-minded individuals, and through spiritual and integral and loving way, you all can come together and integrally work together to create on a larger scale. But a lot of times you have to first think for yourself. I'm trying to bring it all the way back, and I missed a whole bunch because I want to keep the message short. But ultimately, you have to keep all those things in mind when it comes to your external environment. And your external environment is going to be unpredictable. It's going to be unpredictable. And if we're not aware and accept that the external environment is unpredictable, you're going to go up and down and be unpredictable with the environment. And I'm speaking through experience, and I may be speaking on a small scale, but that's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for others and those around you, both family or friends or just people you're meeting for the first time or in passing. We're always leaving an impression on each other. First impressions do really count. So I'm saying in regards to always keep in your mind, no matter what external environment or wherever you're placed, we give thanks and pray and give thanks once more that I and you have in your mind and heart that you are great. And what does that mean when you have in your mind and heart that you're great? I hate to say it, especially for the males. From a traditional standpoint, the male, the masculine, has to make sure that they are walking in greatness at all times and for their own survival. Because if a male or man is not walking in their greatness, then they can actually become physiology-wise as well as neurally, if that's what I'm talking about in regards to neuroscience. Neurally, I'm going to use that word, it's probably not even the word, but I'm going to go there. Because you don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great. So I'm just going to throw it out there. Neurally, stimulate themselves. They have to always produce, and they always have to push. And that comes from knowing what you like to do, knowing what you're good at, knowing what people need, and knowing what people are willing to pay you for. Now, I'm using the word pay because we are, and where I'm coming from, speaking at the time, is I'm speaking from a free market society. So the way one survives and thrives is by producing an income. We pray all income is produced integrally, but in life, obviously, like I said, through unpredictability, we know that's not the case. So we always got to be emotionally intelligent to keep these things in mind, because what I'm trying to get at, as I'm speaking all over the place, but there's a direct message because I want to keep this message short, is you, through grace, are already, you don't need nobody. And no one should sway you from doing what you're supposed to do, which is what? To unite yourself as an individual, to unite your family, as well as to unite your neighbors. Now, some people may have a challenge to that, but why is this so important? Because anything other than that is going to bring unpredictability to yourself as well as those around you. And if you're okay with unpredictability, then so be it. But not everybody's okay with unpredictability. Some people want some consistency, some sustainability in an integral way. And, if that's the case, then we need to divide up, the land that we have on this earth to say, for those that want to live the unpredictable life, then go over there. We wish you all greatness, we wish you best, but go that way. if you're looking for predictability and sustainability in your life, then come on this side. And we're talking about genuine predictability where, one, you're producing for yourself, and then also you're producing through cohesiveness in some kind of way for others. Because one thing for certain, two things for sure, your neighbor's problems, if they're not solved, will one day become your problem. Meaning you always want to look out for the next man, because if they're taken care of, then everyone should be good. There should be no, but at the same time, the next man should be striving for the highest produce of their life, be it mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and every other place. They should be doing that not because they doing it because they know that's what they were designed to do, basically. You have to have that mentality. And I know a lot of times growing up, we may not have been told these things. We may not have been told that you were great. And so for that reason, one's behavior patterns, one's habits, or one's behavior patterns that turn into habits that end up turning into values, those values ultimately have not produced the predictability, sustainability, and the consistency that we all deserve and that we all should be striving for. If not being for ourselves, also for a growing family, or family if you have one. So what am I saying is, if you're a young child, or if you're a child, or if you're a parent, or if you're a teenager, or elder, or soon-to-be parent, or you're playing the game of intimacy where you can mess around and have a child, walk in greatness. Walk in your greatness. That's what we need to be doing right now at this time. All the other labels, all the other situations don't matter, because they're just unpredictable energy. And you're going to say, well, what about this? What about that? Hey, I get that and I understand that. At this point, especially if you're in a free market society where there's a democracy for a republic, at this point, the greatest thing you can do is to cast your vote. That's all you can do. Now, there's a lot of, well, some people can't vote because of their background, and I understand that. And for those that have, gone through that process for the length of time, I do feel like they need to be able to have the option to vote. If they don't choose to register to vote, that's on them. But they should have the option, because how can one say that they're great if they're not included in the greatness process? You know what I mean? But we expect them to be great, but they're not included in the greatness process. Subconsciously and indirectly, what are we really saying? People aren't slow. So they're going to say, well, I want to be great, but at the end of the day, there is an actual code and law that says I cannot do this in this geographical territory. And if I do, these will be the reactions. So if I can't even be a part of the process, then really, I'm really not worth anything. Nobody has to tell me that. Nobody has to tell me that, because I'm not able to exercise my rights, supposedly as a human being that has agreed to walk the lines of this geographical territory, and I can't even do these things. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I'm saying these are things that people may be thinking that are contributing to the overall greatness not reaching its maximum altitude, if that makes any sense. And so, with that being said, you got to look past the labels, and that could be a dangerous thing, because labels also keep us guided, can also help us stay on the straight and narrow, or whatever that leads to. There's always a source. I'm just speaking in general, So you do need that direction, but at the same time, labels also can slow us down, can fuzzy our mind, if you will, and make us lose track of what the true destination is. Do you even know where there's a true destination? Do you feel like you're just here to just pass away through the process of time? No. What have you, through your grace? And you may have gone through the roughest of the rough. But first, we're going to sit here together and say, we give thanks. I give thanks for you, at least. If you don't do it for yourself, I'm speaking for myself as well. I give thanks for your protection. I give thanks for your growth, your sustainability, your lessons for you to be the highest person that you can be for yourself and for your family, for your community and your neighbors and those that you may walk past through the day. I give thanks for your highest health. I give thanks for any type of physical body challenge you're going through. I give thanks and stand with you through that process for the strength, for the perseverance, for the health, for the healing, for the numbness of the pain. But at the same time, pain also helps us to grow, because if the pain is not positive, if you will, like exercising, lifting weights, then the pain is, the body's telling you, hey, we got to check something out. Because if the pain didn't hit you hard enough, maybe we wouldn't move to go get checked out. I know I wouldn't. And one conversation is how the so-called African American male has a hard time mentally wanting to go to a healthcare facility, and to include myself, based upon unpredictability. You know what I mean? So that indirectly directs a possible so-called African American male to look for alternate remedies before they have to go to healthcare facilities. And if healthcare facilities are integrally designed to help the individual as a innovative tool for humanity, then it needs to be integral so that people feel confident in going there. One of the greatest things that could have been produced, possibly, if I'm not speaking out of ignorance, is general hospitals, where no matter what, that general hospital served that general area. So if you're just visiting or driving through, or you're residing in that area, you had a place where you can get taken care of, a general hospital. And now I'm sure there were other practices around in the same neighborhood or community that usually have healthcare facilities, different companies in an area that becomes the healthcare district, if you will. It could be an actual economic development or growth attraction, that this area over here, this geographical territory, has healthcare businesses, if you will. But if people, so you have the general hospitals, but also people are not feeling like they can trust the hospitals or the facilities, and these are all things, if you will, that relate to the external of our greatness, if you will. So we have to, as lawmakers or decision makers, keep these things in mind. And again, we give thanks, back to the prayer, that we're covering these lawmakers, we're covering these, what one would call community organizers, we're covering what they call the private sector during this whole process. We give thanks for things turning around and or moving in the course where everyone feels great. And that's a moving situation, but we give thanks for whatever parts to have to happen in a, if we can, peaceful way at all times, to be able to produce what greatness looks like for everyone. We give thanks for us, and myself and you, to have the patience to be able to stop, take a breath, listen. And we also give thanks again for what one will call the enemy to stay clear of our path, to stay clear of our loved one's path, to stay clear of our community. We give thanks for what one would call our enemy to change their heart and their ways, as we may have changed our hearts and our ways, because it's a two-way street. Maybe our enemies are enemies because we're doing some enemy type things to them as well, or it's been a generational thing. We break and bind, or we break and release all generational, what one would call challenges. Right now, right here, we give thanks for that. We give thanks just again for if you're an agricultural farmer, your crops to grow and become healthy, and you can distribute and get it out into the world. We have plenty of food, healthy food, all of those things. We have to continue to walk in that mindset at the minimum. So we give thanks for these things. We give thanks for you, your life, and just it being abundant and being a testimony for someone like my life. We pray is through grace. And again, we just want to have the greatest peaceful life that we can, to be able to live and appreciate life, as well as be able to produce the next generation and have them to live in predictability, sustainability, and consistency for generations to come. It usually takes 3 generations, usually, for that consistency to really get into that DNA, if you will. And it first starts with us at this time, wherever we are. This is the first day to the rest of our life that we give thanks for all of our people we're going to meet, friends. Anywhere we touch, we give thanks for just it to be turning to gold. And for someone else's challenge who may be in dire need and see our prosperity, for them just to, not through strife, but just us looking at them and just giving them thanks for them to be abundant as well. But it takes work. It takes work. And you have to do it. Nobody's going to do it, and then don't expect or get high or strong that somebody's not going to do it. It don't matter what label it is. Your life is your life. It doesn't matter who's where doing what or who's not doing what. It don't matter. That's an excuse for you not to be great. For you to get caught up in things. Now you're saying, well, these are real situations. I understand that. And you know the real situations. So you know what you have to do each day. You know what you have to do. Now, you have to be professional in all you do. You have to be diplomatic in all you do. You have to be diplomatic in all you do. Look up the word diplomacy. Look up the word diplomat. And start training to do that. Because if you, and I'm hopefully speaking to everybody, because if you become diplomatic, that means that other person is diplomatic, and then you can become diplomatic in your dealing. But at the same time, we just stand again in agreement to give grace that those type of challenges, whatever they are, don't present themselves in our lives or in anyone else's lives. We give thanks for that to happen. And not to keep the prayer going too long, we just give thanks again for those that are listening, for covering, for strength, for greatness, for all things that inspire and motivate others to be great. Those are lists. I speak that on you. I give you a high five right now. And you might, we get beyond the labels and we're looking at the heart at the end of the day. And we give, again, if you want to, and we say this in all of this highest love's name, and so shall it be. But again, if you're not into those type of things, then we give thanks for also a type of area for you to go to do that. Because over here it needs to be greatness. And it's no one's job to do what you're supposed to do. If I don't like what's going on, then I need to go ahead and pack up and leave. That's it. If I don't, and even if I don't need to leave my home, then that's another conversation. But it first takes diplomacy to have a conversation. So I'm not trying to tell anyone what the answer is. There may not be an answer until, again, the diplomacy is initiated. Get out there to the other side and don't argue, but introduce yourself in a respectful manner and talk about challenges and solutions. If you're not able to have a conversation with somebody without getting physical, then you need to, I would say, almost grow up or grow the mind of diplomacy. The greatest leaders are those that, obviously physical always counts. So always train, always lift weights, always learn how to use weapons of any sort. But at the same time, the greatest weapon and leadership quality one has is their diplomacy. That's because then you need to be around so that you can help train and develop others and make sure the vision is where it's supposed to be. So you need to be around. And the battle scars are great, but we want to keep those to a minimum. That's the true power. That's the true mover and shaker. Diplomacy. And that's a tricky conversation. But at any rate, the greatest message is you're great. It doesn't take anyone or anything to change that. No matter what's going on, and if it's nothing to do, there's a lot of unpredictability. I'm going to say it like that. Don't get caught into it. Don't get caught into it to any faucet. Whoever gets to, or whatever is in place at that time, at the end of the day, if you have a spiritual sense, was ordained for that time to be. But at the end of the day, for that time to be don't mean that you need to lose. That means that you want to walk your own path. Don't expect nobody else to walk with you. Naked alone you come in, naked alone you leave. But at the same time, with that mentality, if everyone or your neighbors or people that you're introduced to are walking with that greatness and that what one they call verve, then at the end of the day, you guys can come together and do some things. But people got to show themselves approved before they're even worth your time. People got to show themselves approved. And a lot of people that are on greatness, at the end of the day, are doing what they're supposed to do, that they really don't have time to hang with you like that. So when they do have a time to catch up with you, it's really a joyous moment and occasion, because it shouldn't happen too often. Because we should be moving and producing right now. That's just what it needs to be. Now, at the same time, there's conversations in regards to how the human being should also enjoy time relaxing and enjoying time sitting under the tree and enjoying, the ambiance of life. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but right now, all we can do is live in and survive in the society that has pretty much mandated these are the boundaries. And if you can, If those boundaries don't work for you, it's probably best to just, without as much of your strife as you can, just pack up and go. Find you a place, and when you pack up and go, you may not find a place for a long time. You may be wandering for a long time. And if you don't want to go through that, then you have to be acceptant of this is what is the reality I live in, and how do I best maneuver and make the best out of it. That's just the reality of the situation. Because we're gonna physically take over. That's, again, we're talking about moving to a higher vibration in regards to or frequency in regards to how do we come up with solutions without physical altercation. We should be evolved enough to get to that point at least. Now, I'm not saying it's always going to be solution, non-altercation or non-physical answers. I'm never going to say that, but that has to be the absolute last thing. And to me, when I say last, as in it shouldn't be happening. You know what I mean? Like, if that's the case, carve it up. Those are going to do this, go that way. Those are going to do this, go that way. And here's the boundaries. Nothing wrong with that. But we should all be wanting to produce greatness. Keep those things in mind. Thank you for leaving your thoughts, your comments, so that I can continue to learn and I can maybe answer some questions or, again, learn. Thank you for liking, following, subscribing, clicking the bell, and all those things to the social media sites that you see before you, as well as donating what you felt this message was worth to you by clicking one of the links so that this self-sustaining individual, business partner, and producer of new generations can continue to, through the survival of income, produce this type of content for myself and for you. Because at the end of the day, they can only come in, they can only leave. So whatever you're going to get, whatever you're blessing someone with, a lot of times you're already blessed with it. So, it's your job to make sure you pass that on as a vessel. So thank you for clicking the links, clicking the various businesses that you see in front of you for your business, career, or personal desires. And if nothing else, the truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, ignorance may deride it, but in the end, there it is. The truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, ignorance may deride it, but in the end, there it is. I challenge you to leave the name of the individual that's quoted from, as we're always pushing each other to grow through stimulation. Congrats in advance again for your success. See you at the top, and so shall it be for the positivity of your life.